Anyway, he's here, ladies and gentlemen, the chief misanthropist of them all, Mr. Kevin O'Sullivan, my favourite grumpus. Good afternoon, Kev.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Apparently, Starmer now says he deeply regrets saying that Britain was becoming an island of strangers. So he made that speech. It was quite a punchy speech, wasn't it? He sounded more like Nigel Farage than Nigel Farage. And the public went, hey, he's got the cojones, good man. And now he's saying, like, I shouldn't have said it. It was probably offensive. In fact, he told The Observer, I wouldn't have used those words if I had known they were or even would be interpreted as an echo of Powell. I had no idea. My speechwriters didn't know either. And that particular phrase, no, it wasn't right. I'll give you the honest truth. I deeply regret using it. Came out your mouth, son. You're the Prime Minister. What, did you not read that speech? You just sit there like a little marionette reading whatever's on an auto cue? You're not got a brain cell in your head? Do you believe it? Do you think he's being genuine when he says he deeply regrets it?
I've just been writing that with the welfare U-turn, that adds up to Keir Starmer's third U-turn in 3 weeks. Third dramatic U-turn in 3 weeks. Make that 4 with this announcement about his Island of Strangers speech. So obviously he's caught a lot of flack from the same kind of people who made him U-turn on the welfare bill. The 130 left-wing backbench MPs who made him U-turn. They've also said to him, you can't echo Enoch Powell. So he's now saying, I deeply regret that. Now, there are 2 elements to this. I mean, that was the only decent speech he's made as Prime Minister. And he's the Prime Minister. I mean, he's even older than me. So he should have known. Of course he knew that Enoch Powell said that. Of course his speechwriters knew. If they didn't, he has no right to be a Prime Minister, and they have no right to be his speechwriters.
But also,
of course they bloody well knew they were quoting Enoch Powell.
Also, who cares?
There's another lie in it. He's lying again.
I hate this synthetic offence at hurty words. We have become an island of strangers. What's wrong with saying that, for crying out loud? I don't get when all this sort of uproar happened over, oh, Island of Strangers, that's such a terrible thing to say. Shock horror. I was just like, what? It's actually making a very good point that you've got balkanised communities, people who don't share religion, a language, cuisine, customs, even morality. You know, this is what's happening.
When Enoch Powell made that prediction in his Rivers of Blood speech, you know, there are lots of elements of that speech that, of course, we find terribly reprehensible. But when he warned that if we allow mass immigration to happen, we will become an island of strangers, what is there to criticize about that? He was right. And Keir Starmer was right to echo that, because Powell's prediction has come true. We are becoming an island of strangers, and good for Keir at one point to warn us about that, say it's happening, folks, we've got to be careful. Now he's U-turned on this. This guy is an utter man of straw, and his authority after the welfare U-turn, the winter fuel U-turn, the rape gang inquiry U-turn, and now this U-turn, his authority is utterly shot. Who's going to run the country from now on, Alex? I'll tell you, it's those 130 left-wing backbench MPs. They told him what to do. Yeah. He has buckled. He's doing exactly what they said. They now know that they run the shop.
Well,
he has to do what they say.
I think it's even scarier than that, Kev. I mean, I know there's some pretty leftist backbenchers, most of them about 12 years old as well, who've got their radical brainwashed beliefs about, you know, borders and all the rest of it.
You're talking about their IQ there.
Yeah, that one that looks like the Mekong. There's that little one, isn't there? It's like, I'm like, where did he come from?
They all look like Mekong.
They all look like the Mekong. But you make a good point. Starmer's proven that he's wobblier than a weeble. You know, he just sort of goes this way, goes that way. But I tell you who's really running this country, Kev, and this is what blimmin' frightens me. I think it's that Lord Hermer.
Yeah, I think he's... Well, you see, Hermer is Starmer's international law, the rule of law guru. So, yes, you're absolutely right. That's the other big kind of puppet string that marionettes our prime minister. The rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of international law, the rule of law. This government will be run by the rule of law. I hate that. I hate that because what Starmer says is that more important than the government that the people of this country democratically elect is this kind of nebulous concept of the rule of law. No. Right. That should not be the number one.
But also, he uses this rule of law thing. He uses this rule of law thing. But what he's supposed to do as Attorney General is Starmer's supposed to go, I'm Prime Minister, this is the course of action the government's going to take. Now, you find out how to legalise that thing, matey boy. No, instead what seems to happen, and I don't know because I'm not part of their little phone conversations, but it seems to me Lord Herman will go, oh, do you know what? We've got to give the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Get on and do that, please. Or he says, oh, you know, this is what our foreign policy is going to be in Israel because this is what I think it should be. Oh, do you know what? This is how we're going to react with the prosecutions post-Southport. This is all him. This is all that Herman character. Why is he not being held to account?
Well, because Starmer doesn't get it. Starmer thinks there is a higher authority than the democratically elected government of this country. Unfortunately, he is our democratically elected Prime Minister. That should be the ultimate power in this country, and he should turn around to say to old Britain-hating Richard Herman, listen, mate, the rule of law is one thing, but the rule of the democratically elected government is more powerful than that. So you make the law work for us, and if you don't, I will overrule you. But for Starmer, democracy comes second to the rule of law, the rule of international law. We are being run by a bunch of total and utter lawyers. And I've got another word for them, but I can't say it.
Don't we all have words that Ofcom don't allow at this time of day, or ever, actually? Now, you and I, Kev and I often have a little WhatsApp. We miss each other a lot. We don't get to hang out and play. We do. We miss each other loads. And Kev sent me a really joyful message. He goes, get me on your show. We've got to talk about this because you've been driving me mad ad nauseum, banging on about Wagner mercenaries. Because what was in the Sun newspaper the other day? Oh, yeah. Guess what? Hostile states such as Russia are wargaming the migration crisis. They're the ones saying, oh, you know, do you need a passport? Oh, do you need to be taken from this place to that place to break into Britain? We'll help you out. There you go. I've been banging on about it for Lord knows how much now. Finally, we see it in a newspaper.
Yeah, good for the Sun for finally picking up on what you've been telling me for bloody years. But you're right. You know, Putin and probably Iran, all of the hostile countries that hate our guts are weaponizing the migrant crisis. They are using the migrant crisis to destabilize Britain. We learn that the Kremlin is even providing military support to the people smuggling gangs, providing them with fake documents and assistance all the way down the line, because Putin looks over from Moscow at Britain and say, is this really how they're handling their migrant crisis? Well, it's bad enough as it is, but I know how we can make it even worse. And we can make it even worse because the British government is utterly useless. This deal today they've done, the one in, one out. What the hell is that all about? I can't even get my head around it.
It's crazy. We know that we've had the sort of, you know, the extremism czar, Robin Simcox, tell the government that these migratory flows are a direct security threat to this country. We know that you've got the Wagner mercenaries, I love bringing them up, all over Africa, you know, backing coups to sort of get rid of democratically elected African governments and replace them with Russian patsies who are then going to hand over all the mineral resources, and while they're doing it they go, here you go, do you want to leave this coup? We're going to give you the means to do so, to go and break into Europe. They know what they're doing. The Russians play four-dimensional chess and they're messing with us, and I don't understand why this ridiculous country cannot see what's going on. They're being told what's happening. They're not declaring a national emergency. Instead, when you look at especially some of these regimes like Iran sending their terrorists over, members of the IRGC, to commit crimes on our soil, to directly threaten the security of this country, instead of us being able to say, this is so critically dangerous, do something. No, do you know what their priority is? I know. Let's come up with a law for Islamophobia. Kev, how long do you reckon it will be if this law passes that your feet will touch the ground? Or how quickly do you reckon you're going to be in Belmarsh in solitary confinement for saying something that might upset a community leader?
Give it about 5 minutes, I'd imagine. You and me, I'll see you in there. Do they have mixed agenda prisoners? I don't know. But seriously, this Angela Rayner's Islamophobia obsession feeds into our foreign policy. Britain's foreign policy is being dictated by Starmer's craven desire for the Muslim vote. His whole thing, he's not supporting President Trump in his bombing raid on Iran because it might offend the Muslim vote. Meanwhile, back in Britain, you've got Angela Rayner, who will actually lose her own parliamentary seat if she doesn't retain Muslim support, is trying to sort of take that out on a national basis by defining Islamophobia as a serious crime and making it more and more an assault on freedom of speech. You cannot criticize the Muslims. Labour's kind of slavish devotion to the Muslim community. Well, it's 1.5 million votes. There's 4 million Muslims in this country, 1.5 million votes. But Labour's slavish devotion to those votes is dictating virtually everything they do, which is extremely, extremely worrying.
The tail is wagging the dog, and it doesn't take many people, it seems, to have that sort of an impact when they know how to game the system. And, you know, what alarms me about this Islamophobia thing, let's think back to that poor school teacher in Batley who, you know, gave some example of a cartoon that had been done in France, the Prophet Muhammad, as part of an RE lesson.
Charlie Hebdo,
yeah. He had to go into hiding because the beardy weirdies all came out with their placards, you know, threatening his life. Lord knows where he is right now. His life completely destroyed. If you then give them Islamophobia as something they can play with, do you think that's going to make them go back to their mosques and sort of sit there and go, oh, we're protected now against people showing pictures in RE lessons? No, it's going to embolden them. This is basically giving strength to their arm. Islamists.
Exactly right. And that poor teacher is still in hiding. How long ago was that now? 5 years or something?
That poor teacher won't just be in hiding. That poor teacher will be dragged to prison. That is what scares me. It's bad enough as it is.
He's got a wife and kids as well. So they're all in hiding. And if you remember when that was unfolding, you know, the Batley Grammar School, this teacher had the temerity to teach his kids about what happened with Charlie Hebdo and the Prophet Muhammad. And you remember there was a huge demonstration from the local Muslim community. It was a bunch of blokes with beards standing outside that had been shipped in. And what happened? Almost instantly, the headmaster of that school, who should hang his head in shame, apologized to them. Sorry, that teacher should have never done it. That teacher should not have educated our pupils. He shouldn't have done that. That teacher is still in hiding. That stands as a lasting stain on Britain to this day.
I totally agree. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we're just getting some breaking news now, learning that a fourth person has now been arrested for breaching the defensive fences of RAF Brize Norton and attacking Voyager aircraft. I mean, do you think it's right that we prescribe this organisation as terrorist? I mean, I don't like them. I want them to go to prison, quite frankly, for treason, for breaking into an air base and directly threatening the defence system in our country. But, I mean, is it just sort of gesture politics saying, let's prescribe them as a terrorist organisation? Apparently Farage had said it in the morning, and by the afternoon, Sir Keir Starmer's claiming it was his idea.
Yeah, the tail wagging the dog. Nigel Farage says one thing, and 3 hours later, Keir Starmer says the same. Labour's terror of reform knows no bounds. I give you Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff, the beleaguered Chief of Staff at Number 10, who's absolutely obsessed with the reform threat. So Nigel Farage is often dictating policy. Should they be prescribed? I'm kind of torn by it. What I'd like to see, to send a message to organisations like Action Palestine, those 4 people who allegedly broke into Brize Norton and damaged very important military equipment, planes that we might need in a war that might happen fairly soon. I think they should be charged with treason or something really serious, and they get 20 years or 30 years.
Right.
That's how we should deal with them. Say, look, you can be a protest group. You can protest on behalf of Palestine, but if you start taking those protests to the level of damaging British military equipment, RAF planes, then we are going to throw the book at you. Stick to waving your silly flags and snaking through London on a Saturday. Don't you dare start breaking into our military bases. So personally, I'm a libertarian. I'm never happy about banning anything. So I'm torn about making them a proscribed group, which I think may happen on Monday. But certainly, I think these 4 defendants, should they be guilty, they're only alleged to have committed these crimes at the moment. Should they be guilty, no sort of 6-month suspended jail sentence and a 500 quid fine, 10 years, 15 years. So they get the message. You can't take it this far. And while we're on the topic, what is Keir Starmer going to do about his MP Zara Sultana, who tweeted after the Prime Minister suggested she tweeted, "We are all Palestine action now." What is he going to do about it?
She'll be a terrorist, won't she? It may be very interesting. He's going to get himself stuck between a rock and a hard place, as he seems to be an expert at doing at the moment. You know, Carl in Cornwall makes a really good point. He says these Palestine action idiots who damaged the RAF planes could quite easily have placed small explosive devices in the undercarriage areas of the planes. It's quite possible they wouldn't have been detected, certainly if the before flight service had already been done. Maddening how lax our security has become. I mean, this is it. It might just be red paint, but the point is they managed to access those Voyager aircraft, and Lord knows what untold damage they could have done should they have been so motivated. It's blimmin' scary stuff.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Alex, that red paint in the end, 2 what they call Voyager Airbuses. So with war, a definite worrying possibility, us being drawn into some kind of international conflict, those refueling jets will be crucial to the safety of this nation. How much damage did that red paint do? They think between 30 and 55 million pounds worth of damage. So these people who did it, who allegedly did it, these people who have been charged, as I say, I'm not sure about prescribing this group, but tell them, if you want to protest, do a march in the street. You start breaking into air bases, you get 10 years, you get 15 years, you get 20 years. That'll shut them up.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. Oh, Kev, if only you were the Home Secretary. Imagine how much better the Britain would be.
It would be.
Imagine. I'd love it. Kevin O'Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.